Tesla Semi Factory is chugging along. It's making great progress, and we've got the benefit of Zanegler, the Tesla Semi Advocate, out there shooting the drone footage so we know what's going on. And we're going to take a look at how far along it's coming. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. My good buddy Mark. We're going to look at it once again. You guys have been appreciating this series. We figured we'll just discontinue it and start talking about the Yugo, because that's what no one wants. A whole channel about a Yugo. I'm sure that exists.
Yeah, I'm sure many of them exist.
Yeah. Hey, it was an affordable car. I remember car dealers saying things like, buy a Buick and we'll give you a free Yugo, and people going, I don't know. So Zanegler, and I'm pretty sure it's Zanegler Tesla Semi Advocate, not Tesla Semi Advocate. I'm not sure. I should double check. He is out there doing the hard work. And by the way, there is an Easter egg in this video. I'm not going to even do that too long because you should go check it out. It's a lot of fun. His channel's finally growing. He's getting the love he deserves. He's over 6,000 subscribers, but it took him 151 videos. We can show more love than that. So again, even though I have permission to use the footage, I will just show snapshots instead, because if you want to see it, go see it. And of course, already got the thumbs up because I thumb it up. Now, at a glance, you can't really see a difference from last week, right?
No, it kind of looks the same.
Kind of looks the same. We've got some more roof in. This is closing up. The first layer and the second layer both closing up. We've got some more paint on the outside. It looks like they've been staining the concrete. That's great. And you know what? I'm just gonna see if I can just do this. That's a rendering showing what it's supposed to look like. In answer to will it have solar panels, the answer appears to be that's the plan. But you wouldn't put them in now because you don't put them in. You put them in last, when you know where all your holes for vents and HVAC will need to be.
Yeah, otherwise you're moving decking around constantly, so it doesn't make a lot of financial sense.
Exactly. And you can see the breaks inside, the actual separation of stuff there. And in answer to the concrete slab question, Zanegler is under the impression, his educated guess is that 4 of the 6 sections are already getting slabs, and he bases that on the fact that there are covers over the doors. And that would make sense from a dust and climate control perspective, because the only reason other than pouring concrete that you would need to have it sealed off like that is because the concrete's done and you're putting equipment in. Both answers mean concrete. And you can see all the loading docks are done. These may sound like little things, but they actually are quite big. Oh, that's siding rather than stain. Okay, correction on my part. On the roof here, you can see that rack for HVAC. And here we get a little glimpse inside. It's kind of hard to see because of the nuclear fusion furnace that is powering our planet. So it's a little suspicious to me that there's this life-giving orb in the sky and we're not allowed to make direct eye contact. Don't look at it, son. You'll go blind.
Isn't it amazing that during any eclipse, they tell you never to look at the sun directly, but no one makes that mentioned the other 365 days a year.
So I don't know how your children have fared. Mine have been given that instruction and have followed it, I believe, reasonably well. So something to think about for at least the grandkids, I guess. This is, yeah. And you can see this part is just getting started, or as any other company would say, almost done. More roof racks and another semi just kind of hanging out inside.
Just hanging out in the center, yeah.
And you know who that's for? That's for Zanegler. You know it is. And the Easter egg video also. You can see the walls going up. And in this section somewhere here, you can see higher floors. You can see that they've got some mezzanines in there, which could be for any number of things. I would suspect those are often offices. And then here we've got the pit. This is where the stamping is going to go, we do believe. And Why do we believe that? Do you remember why we believe that?
Because of the depth of the hole here. Like we're talking about a lot of concrete and rebar under a stamping unit, and it requires a sturdy foundation.
Why, it looks just like this video that I spent too much time trying to find. November 2020 in Giga, Texas. That's the stamping foundations in Giga, Texas. That looks kind of similar, doesn't it? It's got the weird shape to it.
Yep. The depth.
The depth is correct. It is what we're looking at.
Although you'll see that the Giga Texas is much larger.
Well, yes, yes. It has more.
They're doing a lot more stamping in Texas.
They are. So let's see if we've got more that needed to be pointed out here. If you guys have questions about what's going on at the semi factory, let us know. Yes, I see now that is siding and not stain. I missed that the first time. But you can see this has skylights. It's got the roof is final. This part of the building, I would be very surprised if they're not already having had the concrete poured. We showed a picture of that last week. We've seen some electrical equipment going in, not manufacturing equipment, but there's a lot of material here on site. And I imagine any manufacturing equipment that's ready to be installed doesn't sit outside. It goes straight in. So there we go.
And there's the shot of Nevada's.
Of Giga Nevada.
Yeah.
These videos are great. The previous ones I've seen from Giga Nevada don't really show you that it is not flat. It looks flat. Everything looks flat if you get up high enough. It is quite hilly. When you are close enough, when you're at the security gate to see Giga Nevada, all you can see is the top red corner on one end because you are far enough away and there is terrain in the way. But you can see they're doing a lot of grading and terracing, basically, of this tremendously large property.
Yeah, it is amazing that they've pushed it out. And as you can see from this photo, obviously the building's going to envelop that pit construction area. It's going to come out in another section and cover that completely.
Yes. Earlier we saw the rendering that shows it will be its own building. I assume this is the stamping extension that we're looking at. And in this shot, you can see the concrete floors inside. And here's the Moore pit just to the north, just off frame to the right here. And it's starting to take shape. And of course, the semi is out there on display hanging out.
This is going to be an incredible boom to the transportation industry. I hear so many people in the forums talking about wanting to have this zero emission choice for transport trucks, and what a change it's going to be to have these available to multiple companies that use these trucks on a daily basis.
So let's talk about the true leader in electric and hydrogen semis, Nikola. They're in trouble. They're trying to raise another $100 million in a stock offering. And the problem there is that their market cap is $136 million, which means any shareholder will be diluted by half should someone step up and buy some of these shares. Why would you? I do not know. Last year, they had a record. Or over the last year, this year, I guess, 2024 is already a new record for deliveries, 203 semi-trucks. 203. And how much money did they lose per truck?
Wow. I have no idea, but it's got to be large.
$2 million. 2 million plus. So if you think Lucid and Rivian are showing bad numbers on a per unit basis, try selling fewer units and see what the numbers look like then. It's not good. Their burn rate is that 100 million will buy them what? A quarter? Another quarter of survival? So they're in a pickle. And a lot of people said early on, well, they're first. It gives them a huge advantage. Only if they survive and ramp and do so profitably, because 203 for a year. When this factory's running, how long do you think it's going to take them to make 203 trucks?
Yeah, an afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. It might
It's
be a
interesting,
day's
Brian. I
production.
was at a transportation show here in Toronto last year, and then the Kia truck was here, and Walmart had purchased it, or they purchased the right to put their stickers on it, and it was on display. So that 203, a lot of those are just demonstration trucks, almost greenwashing for some companies to say, look, we're looking at what's available and we're thinking about bringing them into our fleet or testing with one unit or two.
My buddy Lex, who posts comments, sometimes not hostile, which is great, said 203 trucks, who is buying them? And I said, they're probably for testing and validation. He said, you don't need to test 200 trucks. And I pointed out that, no, there's over 200 shippers in the country. And if each shipper picks up 1 to 5 trucks to test it out, because I think it's not unreasonable to gamble on 1 or 2 or 3 units to see if they work. And it doesn't matter if they work. If you're losing $2 million a truck, great. I spent, and we don't know what the pricing is because it goes through dealers and the price is different for every customer, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're dying. So that's great. Questions, anyone out there, let us know. But we also answer other questions. Did you know that, Mark? Did I tell you that?
I've heard that every once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to go into last week on the Semifactory. We went ahead and answered some questions. And so we're going to go ahead and do that again. You can like the videos. It's free. No one will stop you. Any idea how long until they start moving stuff from this semi-prototype factory to the new building basically next door? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't think they'll move anything. It's all going to be brand new build in the new building because you have a blank palette. You can do whatever you want. You can build new lines. You can place the machinery in different areas based on your experience from the prototype factory, and you don't disrupt anything you're doing in the other place. So why would you move anything until the other one's going to be completely decommissioned?
Absolutely agree. When are they going to move the equipment from the Cato Road facility that makes 4680s to Giga, Texas? They're not. They're just going to duplicate it and keep that facility as a test bed. I agree with you, Mark. I think that is the correct answer. So points to Gryffindor. For the semi-factory, when will we see the construction of OEM, etc., of part suppliers, basically, for local support? Do you think we will see it?
I'm not sure. If we will. That could go either way, couldn't it?
That is my take exactly, is that, first of all, if you are a blinker manufacturer, you're not going to build a new facility. You're just going to ship them. They're small enough. Put them on a truck, get them out. So the short answer is not until the volume is tremendous, if ever. And then the second part of the answer that I would give is that I don't know if we would see it. I could, when the time is right, reach out to people I know in the area and in the industry and say, do you know of any new suppliers going up in the greater Sparks or Reno area? But I'm just not sure that those companies want to go into a market where they don't have a footprint already, find new talent. It's not like we're talking about like, some luxury destination where it'd be easy to convince people to move. But I don't know, maybe if they're close enough to, they're close to Tahoe, I guess that's attractive. That could be a possibility. But it will be quite some time, if ever. And then, of course, did you know the world famous Mustang Ranch is just down the road? Tesla company parties held there are legendary. Well, I don't know what that means. So
You don't? Not at all?
No. Is that a Ford thing? It's probably a Ford thing. Yeah.
Yeah, when Jim was on his road trip for Ford, that's a stopover, I'm sure.
It's got Mustang right in the name. Why wouldn't Jim take his wife and kids to visit? Do we think Cybercab? So this is a great one. I love this. Do we think Cybercab will have brakes? I'm saying not. Parts deleted. Well, this question was asked before I went, or no, I guess maybe after I went down, but I hadn't released the videos yet. What's your thought? The best brakes is no brakes. Can they do it?
No, they can't do it. There's got to be physical brakes in this car.
I think it is legally required to still have physical brakes, though you could minimize them. And because it's not all-wheel drive, you definitely still need brakes. If it was all-wheel drive, you could design it in such a way where the brakes are vestigial and only in case of emergency, but not with front-wheel drive. You'd fishtail. So you will still need physical brakes. It is a great question and one I have wondered in the past, but no. This one's a little bit more out there. Where do you put the railroads? The Boring Company, tunnels? The car shapes likely will have to change. Lower decks, every car having electric motors, using the cargo shipping containers as structural elements, perhaps third rails for power supply. It's a lot to get into. It's a lot to get, because we had asked where would you even put railroads, because the land is taken. And he said, yeah, put them in boring tunnels. But the boring tunnels don't fit shipping containers.
They don't.
So there's just too many moving parts to it, and putting boring tunnels throughout the world would be, I mean, the boring tunnels work in cities. I did have a great question someone posted today on one of my, somewhere, maybe it might have been X or YouTube, but saying, if everyone has cybercabs, then what is the point of boring tunnels? And the point is to skip the traffic. When you're going point to point, you've got nothing but one-way roads all in motion with no stoplights. You're dodging traffic.
Yeah, not just cybercab traffic, the rest of the world's traffic. So, it's not a complete transition, and those cars plug up arteries and you need ways around it.
Now, this question is a good one, but it's going to result in some feedback, and I hope we get that feedback from you folks. Brian, what would it take for our rail system to be flexible enough to expand going forward?
Wow.
It would an ocean of political will that doesn't exist would be the starting point.
A tremendous amount of future planning would have to be put in place, and for where people set up businesses, retail, and living space would all have to be on the table in order to have it flexible.
That's the trick, is we've built really North America around cars for the last 100 years. If you were to start with a blank slate, you could have a split rail and passenger line that comes into the city where the intercity is shared, but once it gets into the city, it becomes commuter versus industrial, and all the industrial parks have their own rail stubs. That's not something that's easily done in a retrofit kind of situation, and trucks are just easy. So I just do not see a way for it to happen. If you have thoughts in the comments, please share them. I'm not anti-train. I've taken trains when they make sense. I've enjoyed train rides from Amsterdam to, I guess Ghent is where I went, but via Brussels. So that's kind of fun. Well, let's see. Competition. Winrose out of China is building a plant in the U.S. Any thoughts on how, if Winrose, the Chinese EV semi company, builds a factory in the U.S. and it's successful, how would that affect Tesla's plans?
I don't think it would affect their plans at all at this point. Tesla's coming to market with a mature product now, one that's been in the hands of a number of American companies, and the feedback that they've received has resulted in iterations to that vehicle already, and more are to come. So I don't think a competitor coming in from China would affect Tesla's plans in any way.
I would agree entirely. The market is vast, and for the EV portion of it, it is as yet untapped. eCascadia's got some out there. Nikola's got some out there. But compared to the total fleet, it is nothing. It is a drop in the bucket. Why is the semi capacity only 50,000 a year for the factory? Why is it so low, Mark?
Well, because it is a new market. Tesla is not going to build a factory that's going to produce 5 million vehicles a year into a market that, of course, per individual vehicle is a lot smaller than the car market. So you've got to look at how many semi sales are out there now and judge that based on what the real market is. They believe it's 50,000 a year. that's where they're going to start. Not to say that there's not enough land around that new plant to expand it. So guess what? Start at the attainable amount, and you're more fiscally responsible doing it in that fashion.
I agree entirely. If they get to 50,000 deliveries a year, that would make them the second or third largest semi manufacturer in the country. That's fantastic. If we wanted them to make 1 million, that's larger than the entire market. That doesn't make sense. But also, Tesla's been known to sandbag their production capacity numbers. It could be that 50,000 factory could do 60, 70, 80,000 before expanding. So I think you're right. I think the number deserves a moment of reflection. And I think Tesla's learned not to overpromise. So that is all good. And the last one we will address, so we don't run too long. Do you know the status of the Semifactory in Europe? It is not yet in the permitting phase, is my understanding.
Yeah, exactly. It was mentioned by Elon. They would like to put it where Berlin is, but there's been no official site plans submitted to anyone in Berlin about getting it approved.
Yes, that is my understanding. It will happen at the appropriate time, I am confident, but steps have not yet been made in that direction. Actually, the last one I'll cover is, does anyone make battery electric forklifts? Do you know the answer to that?
Absolutely.
Yes, everyone does. It was one of the first things electrified because it's inside most of the time where you don't want fumes, and you have access to electricity, and you generally have a predictable schedule. If you need a battery electric forklift,
and there's no real range anxiety there either.
No, there isn't. And the first EV article I read about someone making a conversion was they converted a Geo Metro to an EV with lead acid batteries and a motor and controller that came out of a forklift, out of a dead forklift. So yes, absolutely. And that's one of those use cases that was just ripe for it. Guys, in the comments, what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave us more comments. Head over to the Tesla Life. Maybe subscribe. They could use some love. They get good conversations going over there with Patrick and Casey, and I appreciate what they do. I don't think they get enough respect. I think I get about the right amount of respect, but I could still use more subscribers. I mean, let's not overstate ourselves here, Mark. I mean, I'm a good guy, but come on. Yeah, leave comments because obviously we'll address them, and we appreciate you guys. Everyone else, like, subscribe, do what you do. Leave the comment because it's mandatory. You understand. And stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots on the next one.